Hey guys, how is it going? Putting together a puzzle. I know, we gotta be very careful because we can't miss a part, we can't put a part in the wrong orientation because it's a big deal. It's a transmission. So, what you just witnessed me doing was I went through the diagram and also through this guy's video. If you don't know, there's this channel called Elin Jakob's Rusty Beauties. The guy shows some really helpful videos, and even though he doesn't have a video about assembling a transmission yet, he has a video where he's disassembling it and he's measuring all these washers and showing what comes out of the transmission before what and after what. So now I reversed engineered it and I was able to put together my parts in the correct order. So yeah, if you're not subscribed to this channel, I strongly recommend it. Subscribe and hit the bell button so you get notified when he posts new videos. He helps me a lot in my... And you think I'm joking? No, I'm not. I watch my own videos all the time to remember how I disassembled something, or to remember last time I fixed it, what ideas came into my mind and how I fixed it. Sometimes I do it the same way, I don't need to think of new ideas. Sometimes I think, oh, that was stupid, Ellen, what you've done, so I'm gonna do it better this time. So I'm not joking, I keep watching my own videos sometimes, even though they're so boring. So based on the schematic here in the Haynes manual for GT6 and Vitesse, like we said last time, this is for Vitesse where it doesn't have a synchro ring for first gear. This is for later Vitesse and GT6 with a synchro ring for first gear. So here is everything in the exact same order as it is on the schematic. I'm gonna go through all these parts just for those people who are gonna use this video for assembling, so I'm gonna go through them. So this is the input shaft, then right away we have the oil thrower, and these are all the old parts, so it's damaged, I know, but we're gonna replace everything that needs to be replaced. So the input shaft, the oil thrower, right after that the bearing is going. On the bearing we have a groove on the side, and this ring goes over it, and then this circlip locks it in place. The circlip goes there into this groove after all these parts. So this is everything for the input shaft. The output shaft goes into the input shaft, but here we have a bearing inside. So I still haven't taken out the old bearing. I started taking it out and it came apart. So we have to take it out completely. We're gonna put a new one there, so it's a needle bearing or roller bearing, and then the output shaft goes into the input shaft. On the output shaft, on one side, we have the synchro hub here, which contains two synchro rings on both sides. It has 3 bolts with 3 springs onto these holes, and then the synchro sleeve goes over it. I'm gonna show you later how this gets assembled. This is directional. There's another hub here for first and second, but this one has bigger inner diameter for these splines here, and this one with a smaller inner diameter for these splines here. So they are different for first and second and for third and fourth. And also it is directional, you see, it is not symmetrical. And I'm not really sure. I'm gonna watch my first video about this transmission to see how this one was mounted, because I'm afraid that it was mounted the other way around. Not really sure, but we're gonna confirm that later. So, very important orientation on the shaft. So we're gonna talk about that later. Then we have on the rest of the shaft, even though they go in reverse order, first these parts go and then at the end the circlip locks them. I'm gonna start here from left to right. I'm just making sure that I have all the parts that I need, and once we make sure that we have all of them, we're gonna replace the ones that need to be replaced with the new ones, but in the same order. So we have a circlip, we have this special washer which also has orientation. So I watched my video to make sure I know in what orientation it came out. Then we have the third gear. This is the gear for third gear, which goes with the with these teeth and with the cone towards the synchro ring. Under that we have this bushing. So there are two bushings with a washer in the middle, and over this bushing there's the second gear. That's how second gear goes. Then we have this washer with a channel, and this goes with the channel towards the second gear. And then we have the other hub assembly, which also has direction, so I'm gonna have to be careful. The two synchro rings on each side, the three bows with three springs, and I believe that these are different length. Because of this distance here, the longer ones are here, the shorter ones are here. So I only found two, but I'm pretty sure I had three. I believe I lost one somewhere, but anyways, we ordered new ones. So 3 springs and 3 bows that go into the hub. Then we have this split washer before the first gear. Then the first gear comes here again with direction, is the cone part goes towards the synchro ring. Then we have this thrust washer, and after the thrust washer we have the bearing. Again we have this ring that goes over here and limits how deep in the transmission it goes. Then we have this washer and circlip. That completes everything that's inside the box. Then inside the tail we have the speedometer gear. Then we have bearing in the end, and we have a washer. So they go here at the end of the tail. And then we have the leg gear underneath, which has a thrust washer at each end, and it has a bearing. So this bearing I haven't taken out yet. Inside it's dark, so I don't know if you can see it, but it has two washers like this on each side, and then rollers. It doesn't have a cage. And on this side I took one of the washers out and the rollers, and this is the other washer that closes it. And then we have the shaft that goes through it, of course. And that's gonna be tricky to assemble, but there's a trick. So you take this old shaft, we have a new one coming, so the old shaft we're gonna shorten it to be just as long as the leg gear, because now it's sticking out by ½ inch on each end or something like that. Then we're gonna put it inside. We're gonna have one washer inside, and when the shaft is inside we're gonna have a channel here where we're gonna just take the rollers and stick them inside. Of course we're gonna grease everything before that, and then we're gonna put our washer, and then we're gonna flip it around, and we're gonna do the same on the other side, and then we're gonna be able to just drop it down in the transmission. And when we line up the opening with the hole on the transmission casing, we're gonna push this dummy shaft with the new shaft out. So that's how we're gonna assemble it. I hope it makes sense. If not, you're gonna see when the time comes. And then we have this shaft underneath. This is for the reverse gear idler. I believe we have a new idler coming too, even though this one doesn't look too bad. So we have the shaft, the idler, and a spacer. And that's everything that's inside the box in the actual transmission. Everything else is external. Like I said, we have seals on each end, we have the speedometer and stuff, so we're gonna deal with that later. Oh, also, you probably saw me also grinding these. I hope you can see here. I just smoothed where the teeth were chipped, because unfortunately I couldn't source a new input shaft, so we're gonna have to reuse this one. But like I said, the mesh of this gear with this gear is constant. They're constantly meshed, and there's absolutely no movement, like they don't go in and out all the time. So I don't think it's gonna be a big deal with a little bit chipped teeth here. This gear though is fantastic. It doesn't have any issues. So what I think happened was, once upon a time, something broke inside the transmission, maybe a hub or something. Little chunks of metal went into the meshed gears here and chipped this input shaft and chipped also the leg gear. So that's why the transmission was rebuilt. That's why we have another serial number punched on it, because apparently this serial number stands for rebuilt transmission, but that's another story. So when they rebuilt it, I believe that they changed the leg gear because obviously it was in a bad shape, but they didn't change the input shaft, and that's how the transmission was. So what I'm gonna do now, then we're gonna start replacing old parts here, but we're gonna keep the same order, and we're gonna start part by part, taking away the part that we don't need and putting in its place the new part that is gonna replace it. Then we're gonna take this part, we're gonna clean it, we're gonna inspect it again one more time to make sure that there's nothing wrong with it. We're gonna put it back. Then we're gonna take the next part, we're gonna throw it away, etc, etc. We're gonna go part by part, either replace it or clean it, inspect it, and put it back. And once we have everything lined up, we're gonna start our assembling. We also have to take the case and clean it too, so assembling is not that fast as we would expect. We need to be really careful what we put back inside, and of course a lot of lubrication needs to be done during the assembly, so we're gonna get there. Let's first open this box and see what's in it. Yes, this is the full set of gaskets that we're gonna need. So we have one bearing. Let's see if we have three. We should have three bearings. Yes. We have the two bearings for the input and output shaft. And then we have the bearing for the end, for the tail of the output shaft. The shaft for the leg gear, new one. Reverse idler gear. So we're gonna just count the teeth. 21 teeth. How many teeth did we have here? 11, exactly. So 21 teeth, and we have 21 teeth, our old gear. Oh, the switch for the reverse, the thrust washer for the leg gear, one side, the other thrust washer for the other side of the leg gear, two seals for the input and the output shaft. Then, oh, we even have new circlips here, these circlips. We have three springs, the short ones, and three springs, and these are the long ones for the two hubs. The split washer, that's part of the rebuild kit. We have all the bearings for the leg gear, new roller bearings. So O-rings and a seal for the speedometer. And let's see what's here. All the synchro rings. Alright guys, we're gonna cut this video here because even though it's a little bit short, I want the whole assembling part to be in one video. And if we start assembling now, we're gonna end up with a 1 hour video. So let's cut it here, and next time we're gonna start assembling it and eventually test it. So as always, I thank you very much for watching, for commenting and subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.